welcome back to the channel. So we are talking about off-grid cooking, and we're talking about inside off-grid cooking. By many requests, guys, few of you have been emailing and asking for me to make this video, so there we are. First of all, guys, as a prepper, you probably have your options to cook the food outside, be it a gas barbecue or wood barbecue or charcoal barbecue, anything that you have. And of course, it's very, very important as a prepper find to have your backup options outside, and of course to stock your extra gas for your barbecue or coal or wood, depending on what you're going to be using outside. However, for this purpose, guys, we are talking on cooking indoor only. And there could be many, many reasons, guys, why. And we all know, obviously, one of the main reasons why we need to be potentially sticking around inside. And I think, however, it's very, very important, and obviously you felt the same, is to know your options. If we aren't able to pop outside and cook, what options do we have to be able to cook or at least warm up some meals? So first of all, guys, it is a disclaimer to let you know that it is, of course, not the best scenario of using any of this equipment inside. It is not really designed to be used inside. However, we are talking about the SHTF situation. And of course, when we do choose to, God forbid, we really don't have to be able to resort to this kind of things, but the great precaution have to be taken whilst using that equipment. And I got to point out that in certain instances, okay, you might not be able to have your window open. It is very suggestible when you do use any of this that you do have ventilated area, but in certain circumstances, which I think some of you actually implied to why you want me to do this, the opening the window is out of the question. So if you do choose to use any of this stuff, of course you have to do this on the kitchen or pick the safest room that you have, guys, and of course you have to have your at least doors open into the other room, so you do have a little bit of the circulation. So as the first thing is, I mentioned, guys, pick yourself a room which I would assume will be kitchen, and in the ideal scenario use a fire retardant surface. So for example, you have a glass hob. If you don't have a glass hob, guys, you can buy one of the glass little chopping boards or even a stone chopping board, anything that is flame retardant. Secondly, it's super, super important, and I think as a prepper, guys, you ought to have this anyway, whether you're preparing to cook inside or not, is to have your safety equipment. First of all, guys, we're talking about, say, a carbon monoxide alarm. This one, guys, is just a very basic one, and it only obviously sounds when it's you're reaching high levels. However, you can pick up ones with the display and you can monitor your levels. They're probably the best option. However, at least some of it will be a good start to have. Secondly, guys, again, it goes without saying, is to have your fire extinguishers and have more than just one. I personally have got a few, and we have them in the kitchen, and we also have them outside the bedrooms as well, just purely in emergency situation if you need to escape the room and the fire is on your way. So it's suggestible to have a couple. If you don't, at least have one in the kitchen, especially if you're preparing for this kind of scenario. Of course, it's really important, guys. I've got the spare one here. You do have to know how to use them, okay? And you do have to test them, not test them, but you do have to kind of get them serviced. If you don't want to get them serviced, just to make sure you do replace them. Obviously, they do kind of have a dates on them. So the most important point, make sure you have some and make sure how to use them. If you're not comfortable and you really don't want to be having this, at least consider having fire safety blankets, okay? They're the ones, guys, that you basically, if you have a little fire, you just open it up, pull it out, and you throw it. Again, it's suggestible to have multiple, again, at least in the kitchen and in next to your bedroom. Again, they're very inexpensive. It could be purchased on Amazon. At the same time, when we're talking about the fires as well, guys, have some fire retardant gloves just in case, okay? Because in the emergency situation, last thing you want to do is to hurt yourself. And have some like burn ease spray as well, just in case, okay? So hopefully that covers that, okay, guys? It is super, super important. Again, none of us wants to be living in that situation and dealing with this kind of thing. However, it is very important. If you do choose to do this, you do this with great caution. So now we've covered the disclaimer and the safety, guys. So let's proceed with the options that we have. One of the easiest options I find is going to be one of those basic butane camping stoves. Those canisters, you saw me buy those in absolutely huge quantities because they are super, super great. And this little stove here, it could do with the replacing, but they are perfect camping stoves, and they're perfect to be used indoors. Again, they are gas, okay? So technically it's not much difference between you using this or you using a gas stove. You have to still obviously use the same precautions. However, those things are inexpensive, okay? So when I bought them from Home Bargains, they were £4 £2.49 for 4. Really, really good value. As in terms of the length, guys, one of those on a single burner will last you approximately 2 hours, and you're actually able to boil water with it. The gas area is very large, so you'll be enough to do whatever you guys want to do. You can cook literally anything you want, you're able to do that. And I think for the money, guys, to be able to cook on something for 2 hours is really, really good. And they're literally so simple to use. So this is going to be like my number one go-to option. Yes, guys, you have to stock the gas obviously inside your house, and I know many of you expressed the concerns. However, so long as it's kind of kept in the cool place outside direct sunlight, that's absolutely fine. They don't leak and they'll last indefinitely, which is a really great bonus. Second thing, guys, again, it's not ideal, but we're talking about one of the MSR little cooking stoves, right? They use one of those kind of things, or camping gas, blue bottles of gas. All you got to do, just undo the top, put this there, screw this on, and I'm missing a base for that because it's got lost. I need to order one. But again, those things last for ages. Here we already have our all-in-one little thing, so you can boil your water, warm up your soup, whatever you got to do. It is very, very easy. And again, you have to keep an eye on those, guys, in terms of the price. They are quite dear when you look at them on Amazon or in like go outdoor shops. However, you can actually pick them up as a bulk, like on eBay, quite a bit cheaper. So if you are potentially considering getting things like this, do shop around. And the same with the MSR stoves as well, guys. They're not particularly cheap. I think the kits are like 160 quid, but there are slightly smaller options. So have a shop around, have a look on Amazon. I'll put some links down below that there are deals available. So you have to make a choices in terms of, guys, what you would prefer having, whether, you know, those things are portable. So again, you can have this in your bag, but if you have one, whether those things, guys, is kind of more for your camping in the car type thing, or, you know, in the emergency situation. But those things you can pick up for about 20 quid with a couple of gas canisters. So it's a big price difference, but they all serve different purpose. Right, next thing, guys, we mentioned those, is I mentioned the Hexam stoves, because of the little stoves like this, okay, they default to pretty much nothing, and I do have few of them. They are super great. They're still reasonably cheap. I think you could still pick them up for about £7-8, maybe 10 in some instances, but they are normally come with the Hexam tablets, the ones that now apparently are illegal to buy. However, I would strongly suggest not to use those. They stink a little bit, and basically they're a little bit more fumey, so I wouldn't really suggest using them. But they generally come with a stove, so you don't have to use the tablets, okay, inside. And you can use those little stoves, and you can put your candles. Just first of all, just to let you know, guys, if you do, and you obviously get the Hexam tablets, and you do want to use them outside, each tablet burns approximately 7 minutes, okay? To boil the water, it roughly takes 10 minutes in terms of, not, we're talking about like a saucepan type thing. So you will need to use 2 of those tablets to be able to boil your water if you choose to do so. So they're not particularly that great, but they're still fairly cheap if you buy them. But my point is, guys, you can use candles, if you see here, and I put the candles in there, and you can then use your mess tin. You can use your saucepan, of course, as well, but the mess tins, because they're thinner, they warm up much, much quicker. So as you can see, you'll go in there, stand on the top, and you can warm up your water, not going to boil your water, but you can warm up your soup, warm up the water for anything else, for powdered soup. And but yeah, that's the point, guys, with the candles. If you watch the video as well, I did do and attempted to bake bread like people said you could. It was not possible. It really creates like a really big thick pancake. So when we're talking about the little stoves and candles, guys, right, the next option would be, or could be, is creating yourself, let me just put that out, take this out of the way, is create yourself a mini oven. So you have a tray, and you can put your candles inside. Obviously you have to have multiples, you have to have at least 6 to be able to bake yourself a really flat bread. And then you put your little thing on the top, and then you put your saucepan with the lid, and you can bake or warm or cook, whatever you choose to do. The more candles you have, obviously naturally the more heat it will create. However, it still would not be enough to boil water, even if you fill that with candles, but you will be able to warm certain things up, okay? And another option there, guys, is the chafing fuel, okay? This is little cartridges. You can buy a small little burners for them, and that's basically, if you ever see like a catering catering dishes, okay, they normally have like a chafing fuel stoves, if you wish. So you have a base, you put 2 or 3 of them in there, and then they have a stainless steel baskets or compartments on top where the water gets basically keeps warm. Again, not the water, the food keeps warm, sorry. Again, guys, those things, it's kind of like flameless. You don't really see the flame, but you can see, like, if you look on the light, but it's not, unfortunately, enough, again, to boil you some water, but it is enough, guys, to warm up a tin of your beans or whatever you're warming up. So they are kind of a good alternative, and they're somewhat a bit cheaper, obviously, than a gas, so it's option there for you. But yeah, if you choose to do that, it's the similar effect, guys. Find yourself a deep dish of some kind. Of course, still put it on like a glass top, put them in there, make sure you have enough height of your a metal thing, make sure it's a metal rack, and ideally not painted one, because the paint will come off. And yes, you can use that to warm up anything, be it on the mess tin or on a saucepan, okay? And the last thing, guys, again, we're talking about, depending on the space and the money thing, this is another one of the stoves, but they were different tablets, they were the Hexam tablet. But I found as well, guys, you can use that if you have a really small thing, like a small little cup, because you don't always want to have potentially wasting your resources on just boiling a lot of water for a bit of beverage. So you kind of want to maximize your time, if that makes sense, and the fuel that you have. And I found that be able to have one of those, you can actually pour a little candle underneath and then have a tiny little cup to trying to warm up or boil your water type of thing, because the smaller the vessel, obviously, the quicker it boils. So there we are, guys. This is kind of covers really basics of, I think, the indoor SHTF cooking. As I said, it is really, really not ideal, guys. None of us really want to be in that position of doing that. However, honestly, if shit hits the fan and we have to do this, then you have to make a choice. And the suggestion thing is, guys, you have make your choice to what you feel that you'd be most comfortable with. Okay, and the strong advice is just to make sure, before you even probably committing yourself to buying that things, make sure you do have your safety there first, because it's very important. As I said, guys, that you don't want to be doing this, but if you really, really have to, it is what it is, okay? So there we are, guys. I do hope you find this helpful. Any questions, any comments, please comment down below. Otherwise, I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.